working people of this town paying taxes,
Right, George.
okay? And it's
Exactly.
complete.
All right.
Would you like to go, and I'll just wait till after you're done?
No, I wouldn't like to go, but you know what, George? Just say what you gotta say, and let's move on with this budget, all right? Let's do this.
Let me
for the people
finish,
of this town.
Councilman.
Well, I'm frustrated because this garbage goes on.
We're not getting any progress.
So go ahead. Go ahead, George.
So part of that discussion, and in this budget, we have $250,000 for a new ambulance. Now, I understand that we need a new ambulance. What I have a problem with, what I have a serious problem with, okay, is that you have said to me that you specified the ambulance. Is that true or not true?
George, we have a committee, listen to me, we have a committee that's.
You said-
No. George, I said to you that there's a committee. When the first aid squad comes here and they go to talk, there's a committee of members that sit down, just like the fire department has a committee and the rescue squad has a committee, and they sit with a committee that brings up the specs on what we need. You build the ambulance from the bottom up. I don't build the ambulance, George. I don't sit down with the thing. We come up with a specification, we give it to them. Just like a jetpack, a garbage truck, anything we build. All right? Was your family trapped in the car on River Road a couple weeks ago and the ambulance wouldn't start? No, it wasn't, right? So that doesn't affect you. And you knew about that. And you knew that this ambulance is 18 years old. 3 o'clock in the morning, I have to get up and go jumpstart it at the hospital because it's dead. Last night I have to go down with duct tape because the oxygen line's broken, and we've only had one ambulance in service for months.
Right, so
And you know what? The thing's broken down, George. The thing's broken down, but I'm too.
How long have you been on the first aid squad?
How long have I been on the
Yeah.
first aid squad? 28 years.
Okay, and how long have you been on the board of the first aid squad?
How long have I sit? Probably 20 years out of those 28.
Okay, so basically,
And I
you
brought the problem,
you
but
just
I
said to
don't-
me,
But I brought the problem.
Get out of hand.
That's enough.
Let's move on.
Vote the budget. Vote the budget for what's right for this town. Don't come after me because I question you.
Hold on.
Because I question you on what you want to cut. You never answered my question. Show me what you want to cut out of this budget.
Theo, there's $250,000 in this budget for an ambulance.
Correction, we did not put in, Councilman, all due respects. The potential exists, the council might pass an ordinance to appropriate money for an ambulance, but it's not in the budget yet. The only thing potentially.
Well,
Did you actually read this
The
budget?
only thing in there is the $60,000, let me finish, please. The only thing in there is the money for a capital improvement fund, which the council can direct in any direction it chooses.
But wasn't that one of the things that was
That
considered when
is-
coming up with that number?
One of the things that actually, it was one of the things that was considered, the fire truck was one of the things considered. But as you know, but let me back up. I think you were right to ask for that money, by the way. I think because what's gonna happen is next year, if it's not spent, it goes into the fund, and it doesn't disappear in this year's budget. So what you really did was make one of your ideas come true. We now have, as I said in my email, we finally have the capital improvement fund fixed. Because that's the amount of money we're gonna put in, and that'll give us the money, and at some point in time, we can make a down payment bigger than the 5% because there's more money in the fund.
Right, but with the original budget, we wouldn't have never been on that track. We would have been doing it the way that we've always done it in the past, and always behind the
Because
eight
the
ball.
because the problem is the council has not adopted a capital improvement plan early in the year.
Okay, but Len, so for 18 years, we haven't had an effective maintenance program then,
That's
right?
not true.
No,
No, you know what? Let me answer this. How many people here have a car that they rely on every day to go to work that's 18 years old?
Okay,
No,
but
George. I'd like to know how many people in this
Tito,
room rely on an 18-year-old car.
Tito.
No other town makes do with what we do, and I'm sorry that members of the first aid squad are not here tonight.
Okay, Tito,
because they would take
listen.
offense to this.
Okay, right. So Tito, but here's the deal. Here's a better way to do it moving forward. Okay, here's a better way to do it
You know
moving
what,
forward.
George? Did you read the budget?
Here's a better way to do it moving forward, Tito.
Let me
Because
ask
you
you
know
about the
what?
budget. Let me ask you a question about the budget, George. Let me ask you a question about the budget. Aren't you two gentlemen filing tax appeals? Don't we have to pay for that? You're talking about $500 for property maintenance. You know, we're the governing body here, for God's sake. I mean, really.
Can we please vote on the budget?
Let's-
One way or another, please.
Excuse me.
Let's vote on the budget, all right? Let's vote on the budget.
Councilman Zingas has the floor unless people are going to vote to take it away, so.
They can't vote on the budget.
Go ahead, George.
Then it gets passed.
Moving forward, the right way to handle not only ambulance purchases, but fire truck purchases,
Don't purchase anything. Let him finish the sentence.
Let him go forward.
Go ahead, go ahead.
is every year to have money in the budget that goes towards when you're gonna need to buy an ambulance, so that you don't have to get the money in 1 year at the same time.
And I've said that every year. I've said that in the budget here.
Can I just go into financing on short-term debt? If you were as old as me, you would remember a time when they had pay-as-you-go financing, and it was a 5-year, you put 1/5 of it in each year, and you basically didn't have a bond book. The state changed the whole criteria, so pay-as-you-go is really a 10-year deal. So you paid interest on the first year, then there's a descending balance on the remaining 7 years, and that's now what's called short-term financing. Towns that have sinking funds for debt, for capital purchases are far and few between. And again, you accomplish in a sense the same thing if you don't permanently finance it, you're really accomplishing the same thing, but over, instead of 5 years, 10 years. So you don't have to permanently finance things, but recognize you have a very tight budget, you're capped out on the inside, and in the immediate short term, what's going to happen is your debt payment's going to go from 100,000 to 200,000 to 300,000 to 4. And what you're trying to do when you finance it the other way is to level it off at a certain dollar amount. That's the reason. If there was any way to do it, I'm sure everyone would love to fund everything through the budget, but the budget is funded, you know. God bless the volunteers, God bless the police, God bless Crane and the people in Borough Hall. By the time we get done that, by the time we got 530,000 for health insurance, 690,000 for flush toilets, and there's another 340,000 for the general insurance. By the time you're done, you guys are really, you know, cutting up, you know, cocktail meetings. These are not Frankfurters anymore. We don't have much to play with.
Yeah, but Len, if we don't watch the pennies, you know, the pennies eventually add up.
I agree with you.
The pennies eventually add up. And I don't hear any discussions about how we're gonna move forward in a much more prudent way. And Tito, this is not about attacking you, it's not about you, okay? You might take it that way, but here's the deal, Tito. You spent $5,000 to put letters on a piece of equipment that we don't know, that's there for an emergency. Now, did we really have to spend $5,000 to put letters on this?
And George, we probably got about $300,000 worth of equipment in that box that has letters on it. And yes, we did.
We had to spend that
Yes, we
money.
had to spend that money. We did exactly what the grant called for, so that's what we did. If you want to give it back, I'll be more than glad to give it back. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call the county tomorrow and tell them to pick it up, all right? Because honestly, George, this is why people don't volunteer, this is why there's so much bullshit. You're not doing what's good for the community, and I apologize everyone for my choice of language. You're not doing what's good for the community, you're doing what's good for you, and what's good for him, and that's it, okay? And I have to tell you that, you know, this sideshow, you know, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why Wanda's not here again for another budget hearing, but I'm assuming it has something to do with just holding up the budget, and you wanting to make a name for yourself so you can be the martyr to go out there and get elected. It's not about that, George. The only time I see 90-minute council members is every other Thursday. Why don't you actually volunteer and do something to better the place? Why don't you go outside and look around and pick garbage up off the front of this building, or do something that's gonna better this community? You know, you sent me a whole bunch of emails a while ago that said, you know, that attacked me when I said, I challenged everybody to bring something positive, to do something for this community. What have you done? besides the negativity, and to hold the budget up, it's gonna hurt the taxpayers in this town. You think you're doing such a grand thing? I don't think it's such a grand thing. I don't think it's such a noble thing. I think it's politics. And honestly, I'm sickened by it. I said it before, we are not here for ourselves. We are here for everyone in this community. I don't look at people, whether they're, what race they are, what religion they are. George, don't nod your head at me. It's not about that, okay? Maybe it's about that to you, but it's not about that to me, okay? I work my heart and soul out of this town.
You're talking to a wall.
I know I'm talking to a wall. I'm out till 4 o'clock this morning, sheltering residents of this community, okay? And this is the kind of garbage we get. This is the kind of, this is the kind of sideshow that everyone here, everyone in this community has to put up with. Because you want to be reelected. And we have 19 years. Let's just roll this budget.
You made the motion, right?
Yeah.
Tino and,
Okay, to adopt the amendment the second time. Councilmembers Jackson,
Yes.
Brophy,
Yes.
Nunes,
No.
Koenigsberg,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
so the amendment's adopted.
Bring the budget up.
Now, all right, one hearing for, adopted this provision.
So
On the motion. Tino. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mark, all in favor? Any discussion? Call the roll.
Councilmembers Jackson,
Yes.
Brophy,
Yes.
Nunes,
No.
Koenigsberg,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
The budget's been adopted.
Thank you.